This is what Charlotte, Iowa sounds like. Not all the time, just for a few weeks in October. The town's name is spelled the same as Charlotte, but pronounced Charlotte. Charlotte lies among farmland and small creeks that flow north due to the slope of the rolling hills that define the landscape of Northeast Iowa. The Clinton County community is home to about 450 people, but as Halloween nears, the quiet farm town setting is also home to about 50 ghosts, goblins, ghouls, witches, masked murderers, and chainsaw-wielding madmen. The Charlotte Haunted House has been scaring and entertaining Eastern Iowans for the better part of 20 years. For a few years, I was even in on the haunting. Charlotte, Iowa is my hometown, and even today, several of my friends still throw on their favorite Halloween masks and costumes and scare up some screams. While visiting my father just north of town last Saturday, I got a call from my friend Derek Witt. He wanted to know if I was in the mood for scaring the life out of some innocent paying customers, and I said, why not? Later that night, I met up with Derek in his third-floor room. When I got there, Derek filled me in on his scaring station.
My scare is at the beginning of the room, a large door opens. The group is shuffled towards me. I have a heavy-duty cage built here that I pound a hammer against when they walk in. Usually get a scare there, chase them into the next room.
How do you know when they're coming?
Satan's blood!
What's Satan's blood?
That means people are coming.
Derek has been volunteering at the haunted house for the better part of a decade. He's 23 now. As the brave souls huddle together, they pass through the rooms and encounter the condemned souls that design each room with their own theme. As a young boy, maybe 7 or 8, I remember that several of my elementary teachers had their own room and turned it into a witch's chamber fitted with their very own boiling, steaming cauldron. During the night's only break, I caught up with another friend to ask what his room was all about.
Haunted trailer park. Psycho hillbilly Cadillac.
Cameron Costello's room, as I find out later, is actually pretty unique. It's outfitted with the front end of a real pickup truck, complemented by an air horn that's very effective. Cameron is outfitted nicely himself, as he describes his costume to me.
I'm wearing a flannel cutoff, of course, my rustling boots, and some tight-ass jeans.
Cameron's face is also covered in fake blood, and the southern drawl, that's also part of the act. This is his 4th year scaring the living, but it may be his last, as Charlotte's haunted house tradition might soon die. Charlotte's haunted house isn't in a house at all. It's actually an old 3-story school. The 101-year-old building originally was the Charlotte High School, part of the Northeast Community School District. In the late 1960s, when a new and much bigger high school was built in nearby Goose Lake, the turn-of-the-century building became a home for the district's K-6 classes. That lasted until the end of the 1980s.
The CAC, was originally purchased from the Northeast School District back in the 80s, I believe it was. Late 80s when they decided to close it down.
That's Charlotte Mayor Marty John, now in his 3rd term as mayor. He's also a member of the Northeast graduating class of 1985. John spent his salad days going to class in the old Charlotte school. When it was purchased by the city in the late 1980s, its name changed to the Charlotte Area Activity Center, or CAC for short.
It's had various uses over the years, a senior meal site, storage. The gym gets used quite extensively for pancake breakfasts.
Those events and the haunted house might be coming to an end simply because the city can no longer afford to keep the building open.
It costs a lot of money to heat that gym and heat that building. And the amount of revenue and stuff that comes in doesn't really offset that much.
Also, the school needs a new roof. Mayor John says roof repairs have been quoted at $30,000, almost 3 times the amount of the money that the activity center brings in annually, and that's not counting the cost to heat the building.
Like last year when fuel prices were so high, it just ate that money right up.
The 42-year-old mayor isn't just coming up with reasons to board up the building or tear it down. Actually, you can say John is torn, because the night I was at the haunted house scaring it up in my friend's third-floor room, Mayor John had already gotten to them 2 floors below me.
I was down in the basement area where the old boiler was.
John has been volunteering at the haunted house since its first scare in the 1980s.
I remember when I was, just out of high school and stuff, there was times when, like a lot of them up there now, one year I was a gorilla. We had a cage up there, and I was in a gorilla suit. And people would walk in the room, and the mad scientists would have all kinds of things in the cupboards and stuff, and lights shine on them, and they'd be looking at that. And while they're looking at that, and I'm going nuts in the cage, one of the bars was a rubber bar, so I could pull, come out of the cage and just totally freak those people out, and it was a riot. It was a lot of fun.
As much fun as John has had in the past 20 years, he's still not letting that cloud his responsibilities as mayor. With that in mind, he asked for residents to help and form a new CAC board with the goal of exploring new ways to make the activity center more viable and self-sustaining. This isn't the first time a CAC board has been formed.
Every time they start to talk about tearing it down, people get all huff about it and they don't want it to happen. And then as soon as the pressure's off, then everybody sort of flakes out.
Bridget Bamer-Campbell is on the new 5-person board. Campbell says she is working with the other members to develop new ways to increase the amount of money coming into the CAC each year. Campbell says last year the CAC's budget had a $2,000 shortfall between the money that was raised and the building's annual heating cost.
Obviously, it eats into money coming from taxpayers and things like that, and they're saying we can't keep asking taxpayers to continue to pay for this building.
Campbell says the CAC can rely on some city help, just not as much in recent years.
It doesn't need to be, completely financially independent, and it can dig in a little bit, but it can't dig in that much.
But Campbell and the other board members still need to present new ideas to Mayor Marty John and the Charlotte City Council, and they don't have much time to do it.
I'd say if nothing is even brought forth in the next 5 to 6 months, I would say the council would probably pull the plug on the deal.
And that means boarding the building up or tearing it down. For some, and especially right now, that's a scary thought.
Where have you been, my love? Where can you be? It's been so long since the moon has gone. Oh, what a wreck you made me.
On this night, I followed a group through the entire haunted house, up flights of stairs, crawling on my hands and knees, walking through a full-size refrigerator, and passing by ghost after goblin after ghoul, and as it turns out, Mama with a chainsaw.
Come crawling through on this mattress here. I'll be standing on these steps and I'll jump down and scare them. They'll be going through the slide and they'll be encountering Mama with the chainsaw.
Mama with the chainsaw.
Mama with the chainsaw, and she's been drinking.
That's what happens next?
Oh, yeah.
After we all made it out alive, I caught up with the group and asked them what they thought of the big haunted house in the small farm town in Clinton County, Iowa.
How was it?
I like the climbing stuff, where you got to climb in the slide and, all the little tunnels there. That's what's up.
This is probably the best haunted house I've been to in about 10 years.
Where are you guys from?
What's he think about Clinton. Where you from?
You guys
Clinton.
from Clinton?
Yep, they're from the Quad Cities.
Davenport.
There's been talk that this might be the last year that they're going to have it here.
You give me a petition, I'll sign it.
Is it worth the drive?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Cameron Costello says there's still hope for the CAC, even if it is haunted with a grim ultimatum.
With the proper preservation and the proper attitude about things, we could really turn this place around.
What is Charlotte right now? What other attractions do they have?
Well, we have a few small town businesses, i.e. Charlotte Electric, Dad's Place Bar and Grill, Eskelson Trucking.
But as far as, destination places, yes, there's the bar and grill, but where people will come on a regular basis. Obviously, this is seasonal, but what other attractions might this town really have? Or is this it?
That's pretty much it.
If the CAC board doesn't come up with new ideas for preserving the old Charlotte School building, and the city council decides it can no longer afford to keep it standing, the CAC could be torn down as soon as summer 2010. And then all that would remain is its memory. Or, you might say, its ghost.